The idea of starting out, you need to understand the fundamentals, because without the basics, you're not really going to be able to grow at all. And once you have the fundamentals, then you can develop your own style, and that would be the branding that has become so popular in the last few years, although branding's been around for as long as I've been around, and so branding is not anything new. But the style of what your business means, what people think of, that's the brand. The other part is that I think it's real important that you make money. And that's why we usually go into business. And if you're not paying attention to whether or not you're making a profit, I think that's that's going to turn out to be the biggest mistake also, which you're going to ask me in a few minutes. But it's understanding the risk that you're going to take. So if you've never screen printed before, you don't really understand the risks. And that may be what you really need to focus on in the beginning if you're going to grow. And you need to, of course, anticipate how you're going to grow. There's so many different departments that have to grow at the same speed, because if you get a large jump in sales, but your screen making or your cash flow can't handle it, and almost all risk seems to come back to cash and money, whether you've got emergency money or mad money, or the ability to say, oh my goodness, this guy is selling his shop at a bargain. I could pick these up if I only had $8,000, and nobody in your family wants to know.
So focus in, really come up with your niche, or really focus in on what you want to do and who you want to be in 5 years. It's like the question you have in every job interview is like, where do you see yourself in 5 years? It's really important to have that vision for your business as well. You don't have to be a giant print shop to be successful. You could have one auto and be super successful. You could have one manual press and be super successful. And so kind of deciding what you want to be, who you want to be. You could be the best print shop in the world. You could be the print shop that makes the most money, or you could be the biggest print shop. Those are all three completely separate, different things. So decide which track you want to go down.
And I would say don't try to cut corners. It's so easy. Don't skimp, don't cut corners. So easy as you're starting out and be like, oh, I'm just going to do this, but I'm going to do it like half-ass. If you can invest in yourself, invest in your people, invest in your operation, which is your systems and your gear, And if you can do that, every time you come to a road, there's easy, like when we were building the All Made shirt, it's a new business, never done it before. We come to a road, what kind of fiber should we use? We could go cheap, everyone's trying to sell us on cheap because we're in a commoditized industry, or we could go more expensive. It's gonna be hard to sell something more expensive. If you can make the better decision for the future, not just like the easy way out right now, then you'll get to the future much better. So that's what I say. I see people trying to cut corners all the time. Those who don't are way better off. Sometimes the other guys don't even make it down the road, but if the ones are down the road, they're further along, guaranteed.
So my number one piece of advice for new and growing screen printing companies is begin with the end in mind. Figure out what you want to do. And not about the process that you're doing, but how do you want to exit the business? Are you going to build this to sell it? Are you going to build it as an investment that runs on its own? Look at the big picture overall, and that will shade your decisions along the way. The biggest challenge that I see with companies is just becoming overwhelmed with business as usual. Business that walks in that's not a good fit, they take it to pay the bills, but it doesn't move you towards your objective. When you have a clear picture of where you're going, then makes it much easier to make good decisions to get there faster.
I think the main piece of advice I would give someone that's starting out would be that printing is a system and that all the pieces need to fit together. So in other words, no one miracle ink is going to help you, or just this kind of press is going to work. You have to make all the pieces work together, or it's not going to happen. So I think you got to focus on the entire process, not just one particular part of it. I think the second piece of advice I would give is actually that I got from a printer who at the time was one of the biggest printers. He was in southern New Jersey. I just started out, and he was cranking out Iron Maiden shirts on these huge automatics when nobody had them. And his main thing was that he always wanted to be the biggest. And so he had a goal, and I think then it makes it easy to make your decisions. So if you're going to be the biggest, do I get automatic machinery? Yes. Do I invest in at the time, metal frames. Yes. So for me, I always wanted to be the best, for example. So it was easy. I want the best press. I want the best screens. Sometimes I wish I wanted to be the richest and I would have made other decisions, but it helps to have a goal of what you want to accomplish. It makes all the other decisions easier.
Oh, that's easy. Number one thing that I want to tell people to do is make sure that they have fun doing what they do. If they're an artist, make sure they concentrate on artwork. If they're a problem solver, make sure that they work on that. If they like the mechanical ability of decorating with screen printing or embroidery, make sure that they're doing that. For me, I get the greatest satisfaction out of turning a pile of blank shirts into a check. That's what really turns me on.
So the number one problem in most shops is their screen room. And so to me, that is the number one problem. That is also the number one solution. Great screens will give you great prints. Lousy screens, even if you're a great printer, are still going to give you a finished product that's substandard. And so to me, that's the first place I look, is the screen room. Artwork is artwork. We can certainly do some better. We can do some that isn't as good. A lot of that comes down to the client that you have and what their desires are. But putting out a great looking print definitely is in the screen department.
One, you have to remember, no matter how big or small you're starting at, it's a business. You may think it's DIY, it might be in the basement or a garage, but it's a business. So one, have a business plan, some sort of business plan. You can always modify that, include budget, your thoughts of marketing. So most people just go in, I just want to print a shirt, I just want to embroider, and they have no plan, and it comes to bite you at the end. And in that plan, you want a budget. Know what your budget is, know what your cash flow is. Remember, it's called screen printing. Your screens are equipment. They are not a commodity. That press, that dryer, that exposure unit does not work without good screens. Invest in screens and screen exposure technology equipment, no matter how big or small you are.
Well, I'm the ultimate entrepreneur, meaning I've always felt that I was invincible, and when I was younger, my ideas were the best ideas. I think any entrepreneur feels that you're pretty smart and this is the newest thing, nobody's ever thought of this. And I'm the guy that could always take nothing, no money, because I started off with no money and I could market and run the business. But as you grow, you got to be careful. I think when you are the ultimate entrepreneur, then you don't think you can fail. And so failure is not an option in your mind. And you'll make decisions and you'll make them on the fly. And I like to joke I'm on Scott 4.0 right now, and I've made millions and lost millions. I've built companies and lost companies. It is what it is. You got to move on, and the past is the past. But I think I was even going to write a book one time on business, that you make that one decision today that is in your business that may seem like the no-brainer, easy, not a big decision. You make it today, and a year later it catches up to you and it was a wrong decision. And it's taught me as I've gotten older that you need to stand back as an entrepreneur and analyze your decisions and make sure it's not seat of the pants, make sure maybe there's some facts involved, because I've been very guilty of that. And it kind of humbles you when you realize that decision that was a nothing you made a year ago is now a major wrong move in your business, and you just need to be a little more careful is all. Because I think the ultimate entrepreneur always feels like failure is not the option. I mean, they just want to talk about their ideas, and you start talking about, well, have you thought about this? Oh no, that'll never happen. And I think you need to back up a little bit.